one piece of career advice you wish someone had given you when you were starting out?
One thing I found out when I first started out was that my first few years were pretty challenging in terms of the technical capabilities that I needed to have. And I looked at some of my friends and colleagues who had graduated at the same time, and many of them had, relatively jobs that were quite comfortable doing. And I found that the tasks that I was doing were challenging, and initially I wasn't enjoying them so much. But later on, that really paid off. So my advice would be the first couple of years of your life, the first 3 to 5 years, are actually just learning. You're supposed to be learning. You're supposed to be breaking things. Take that as a challenge. If you're in a job, if you just started graduating and you're in a job that's quite comfortable for you, then perhaps you should be looking elsewhere, because that's not going to help you prepare you for a future.
Can you share a pivotal moment in your career journey that made a significant impact?
So, sort of keeping with the theme of the last question, there are two sort of points in my career where I can trace back and say, this is what helped me advance significantly. The first was when I graduated from university, and if anyone who's been to engineering school will know that engineering school is hard. You're working pretty much all day. You have 40 hours of classes, and then you come home and you have your homeworks and your assignments and everything, and you're trying to fit your social life in there somewhere as well. So you sacrifice sleep usually.
Yeah.
But when I graduated, I started the 9 to 5 routine, and I found that I was coming home at 5, 6 p.m. and pretty much from 6 p.m. to 12 p.m. I was just watch TV or was on my phone. So I made a decision pretty early on in my maybe 3 months out that I was actually going to pursue a part-time degree education. So that was the first step that I took that actually helped me propel quite a bit, because I got my master's degree part-time in engineering. And then something similar happened when I was very comfortable at 2 jobs ago. Let's say I was quite comfortable in my career, and I had a job that I liked. I had my master's degree now, and I had my settled life. And I realized that what I was really gravitating towards artificial intelligence, computer vision, and robotics, and these areas, advanced technology areas, even though I was working in the space industry, which was quite interesting anyway. And I essentially made a very conscious decision that I was actually going to pivot towards a career in an industry where I didn't have previous experience, so AI, because not only was it a happening industry, but it was because I was quite interested in it, and I was going to leave my comfortable job that I had, where I had sort of grown to the maximum capabilities that I could have grown at the time. So yeah, those two, essentially, it's a theme of the first question is, 2 points in my life where I chose to challenge myself. One was academic, and the other was more career-wise, where I chose to leave something comfortable for something a little more uncomfortable, and that definitely helped me propel.
How do you approach challenges and setbacks in your professional life, and what's your go-to strategy for overcoming them?
That's a very interesting question. When I got that one, I had to think a little bit. So you learn as you progress through. When you first graduate, a setback is like the end of the world. You're like, oh man, I'm going to get fired. This is it. I remember 3 months out of university, my first job, I actually ended up breaking something that cost $150,000 in 3 weeks to fix. But because I had the right mentorship, team around me, and because of that, I didn't get fired. In fact, what I was told was my job title said test engineer, and as a test engineer, part of my job was to break things. So it wasn't the end of the year. But yeah, I was having sleepless nights. I was like, okay, I'm good now. So first, point number 1, setbacks are going to happen. What I will do is I will sit down and say, okay, what really happened? Well, what was the step-by-step process? Because if it's a 6-month, 7-month process that led to the conclusion, you may not always have the right timeline in your head in the right order. Yeah, so sit down. What actually happened? What was the sequence of events? As engineers, we like to be very methodical about what happened. What happened? What did I do right? And what can I improve? So these 3 points are part of the after action review. So what happened? What I did right? And how can I improve? And then once that's done, you take the lessons learned from what can I improve, you roll it into the next task, and you keep going. And it just persistence is. I've found that in my career, I have never just naturally been good at everything. Some people, they can go take up a task and just naturally good at it. Like that has never happened to me with sport or with career. I've always had to learn, and to just be persistent, to learn from my mistakes always.